Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm well. So, give me a brief description of your role as an employee.
Okay. My name is Yamiley, and I work at Urban Outfitters, and I'm a sales rep.
Okay, so what does your typical day look like?
A typical day, when I come in, I, restock the shelves, make sure if anything needs to be priced down, um, I price down the prices, making sure everything in the store is in order, looks up to par, and and during closing, if I am closing, making sure that the place is clean, nothing is out of the ordinary, and making sure that I count up the money and put it in a safe place for the
Okay.
managers.
Okay, so how often does management conduct interviews for new hires?
Um, I it's not as often. I feel like they can be a little mean when it comes to, like, teenagers applying for jobs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how important is employee appearance in the workplace for creating a positive environment experience for customers?
Well, like, I feel like, you know, for example, I have green hair because that's like my favorite color. And I feel like Urban Outfitters, compared to when I was working at Banana Republic, um, they were more open to my aesthetics versus Banana Republic was more preppy. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to tone down the way I dress.
So, describe what your workplace policies request and dig deeper into what you went through in your experience at Banana Republic.
Well, I felt like Banana Republic, like I said, is more preppy, versus um, Urban Outfitters. I was able to express myself in whatever way I wanted to, versus Banana Republic. I had to wear, more business casual, bright colors, but not too bright. I had to have like some undertone, and my hair. I will have to like tone down the greenness, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. So, describe what factors your managers look at when looking for new hires. So, what specifically made them hire you?
I honestly think it was just my personality and like me able to like versatile my style. Like, I can give them preppy, but so Banana Republic, like I said, I had to tone everything down. I couldn't wear jewelry the way I like to wear jewelry. I had to like hide my piercings, versus Banana Republican. I mean,
Urban Outfitters.
Urban
Mm-hmm.
Outfitters. I can wear my septum, and or my other piercings on my face, and they didn't really jack my style.
So, what factors do your managers look at when looking for new hires?
Someone that understands the Banana Republic brand, versus Urban Outfitters. It was just more so like, excuse my French, if you knew how to put that shit on.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Banana Republic, you had to fit a particular standard. If you didn't fit it, you were not getting through to the second interview.
Okay, so how can you describe the usual expectations when it comes down to employee appearance to satisfy your customers?
Well, for example, Banana Republic, like I said, I had to like wear like nice little preppy cardigans with a nice undertone top, maybe some khakis, or gacho pants with some flats. Whereas Urban Outfitters, if I wanted to wear beat up sneakers, I could, with some baggy jeans and a crop top that fit their aesthetics.
So okay, so where do these expectations come from? Do they come from management or HR?
It comes from management more so, but I also feel like HR has a little sprinkle of what their expectation of what they would like us to look because they want to uphold the brand.
So, describe how the expectations are realistic for teen employees such as yourself.
I don't think it's realistic because we're not making money like that. So I don't understand why, the expectation for Banana Republic, you had to wear name brand things, you know what I mean? Or things within the store, so if a customer was asking for a particular piece, you could be like, oh, I got it from Banana Republic versus Urban Outfitters. You just wear whatever you wanted to. And, if somebody came in the store and they liked it, you could be like, oh, I went thrifting or I got it from Urban Outfitters or somewhere else.
So, what comes to your mind when a teen employee wears bright colored hair while working or coming in for an interview?
I honestly think that they should be allowed to express themselves. It shouldn't be based on their appearance. It should be based off of their personality and how they conduct themselves during an interview.
So, has your reaction changed depending on the employee's responsibilities that come in with the colored hair?
No, I just feel like, that's person's particular style, and if you hire them, then you shouldn't want to change them to fit the brand.
Okay. So, what are the other qualities that you look at other than appearance when judging professionalism?
If they are open to communicate with others, they don't need anybody to assist them. A people person. I feel like customer service, you got to be a people person. You should be able to walk up to anybody and ask them if they need any assistance versus, being in the background, not really saying anything or being standoffish.
Okay. So how do you define professionalism for younger employees?
I think for younger employees, it's a teaching moment, trial and error. If you want them to be a certain way, not trying to make them feel like they're little, but just give them pointers so they know when they go for their big girl job or big boy job that they know, what their expectations are.
Okay.
But I also feel like it just depends on their environment of the workplace.
Okay, when you say environment, like what would be the ideal environment or like a deal breaker environment for you?
I feel like for teenagers, ideal work environment, I would say it's an environment that is teachable. Like if you feel as though the way they came to work one day was not presentable, you could give them pointers like, hey sweetheart, your nails should not be this long, but if they are this long, are you able to finish the task?
So, how big of a role does appearance play in that definition and why?
I feel like, again, it just depends on the environment. Like, for example, if you are a camp counselor at a camp and it's a swimming camp, you should know what's appropriate. You can't wear a two-piece around young children. You should wear something that covers up, that doesn't show too much. It's the same way working at Foot Locker. You know that there's a uniform assigned to you. Just make sure you're within the criteria of the uniform.
Okay.
Like, if you work at Foot Locker, you're not about to wear Crocs. You're going to wear some type of Jordans or some type of shoes that's sold at the store.
So, what are your expectations of excuse me. Do your expectations of professionalism change due to their age?
I feel like to a certain extent it does. Because if you are a high schooler and this is like your first job, you don't really know what going in, you don't really know the expectation until they explain it to you, and now you have a better understanding of what is expected of you and what you're not supposed to do in that environment.
Okay, so what are the current double standards between the appearances of teenagers and adults?
Oh man, I feel like nowadays a teacher can be tatted up in a professional setting, and they may not look at him crazy or her crazy, versus a child like myself that has face piercing. They might think something's wrong with me.
So, how are the grooming policies enforced differently between teenagers and adults? And when I say grooming policies, I mean like what they do with their appearance, such as their hair, their face, like tattoos, piercings, and stuff that are visible.
Can you give me like an example?
Okay, so like when the workplace policies are like requesting how should I say this? When they're requesting things out of all the employees and there's two different age groups, how are the things that they're requesting enforced differently? So say like a adult comes in with like pink colored hair, and then a teen comes in with like blue colored hair, like how are the rules enforced? Like how do you think the rules are enforced differently within your workplace?
I definitely feel like it's different. I feel like because the adult is supposed to be the person that's mature, they may not say anything, versus the child, they feel like, okay, you may not know anything about working in this particular environment, so they feel as though they have to talk to you in a certain way that can be demeaning versus an adult.
Okay, so what are the ratio of teenagers who are not hired due to their appearance?
Oh my gosh, I feel like that ratio is really big. I feel like they don't give teenagers a chance to work in these environments because of their aesthetics and how they look, versus, how they carry themselves during an interview.
So, explain the expectations of hair differences between teenage and adult employees. So, what do they expect out of teens and adult employees?
Well, I will say, because I'm biracial, I feel like there's a difference. So I feel like there is a big disconnect with a black woman, well, a black girl like myself that has green hair versus a white woman or girl that has purple hair and has piercing. I feel like they look at me as if, I'm less than, like I'm not professional, and they don't do the same with my white counterparts.
So what factors contribute to the differences?
Skin color, definitely skin color. I feel like appearance, just like I said, just depending on their environment and what they're looking for. I don't feel like they focus on what's coming out of a teenager's mouth that shows like, okay, she has some form of professionalism and I can teach her to be more professional.
So to what extent do you believe that the differences are necessary?
Okay, I need an example. What do you mean by
so that? So when the main question that was asked was explain the expectations for the hair differences between the teenage and adult employees. So to what extent are these differences are necessary? Say for example, when dealing with customer service and they see an adult employee with like colored hair, bright colored hair, and they see a teen employee with same bright colored hair, they would most likely deem the adult employee as more approachable from the customer's perspective. So to what extent are these differences necessary?
I think I don't think it's necessary, but it is there, that as far as like when there's a teenager working the floor and then someone else, an adult working the floor, they will feel more sustainable to like approach their adult because they feel as though the adult knows more than the child, which is not always true.
So how do you balance self-expression with maintaining a professional workplace environment?
Well, honestly, I do what I want. That's like, I like bright colors, and I don't feel as though I need to tone down my bright colors. Especially because I work at Urban Outfitters, I can wear whatever I desire, versus Banana Republic, I will have to tone everything down. I wouldn't be able to wear really bright colors. They have to be bright neutral colors to fit the brand.
Okay, so when working with Banana Republic, what challenges came with maintaining that balance?
Um, that my outfits weren't preppy enough. You know, sometimes I would have managers come speak to me about my outfit and would tell me this is not acceptable. You need to, change, or next time if you're gonna wear that, these are the type of shoes you need to wear, or the type of top you need to wear with these pants.
Okay, so have you, if not, ever been addressed about a workplace policy regarding your appearance?
I have.
Elaborate.
Well, at Banana Republic, I felt like because of my stature and my body type, certain things didn't fit the way they would like it to fit. So if something was tight fitted, or served my curvaceous body, they will have a problem and they will say something to me, versus my white counterpart, they won't say much because her body type is not as curvaceous as mine.
So describe a time where you felt that a workplace policy has ever been discriminatory against your self-expression.
Let me think. Okay, perfect example. When I was working at Banana Republic, I had this polka dot halter top shirt, and I had the polka dots were black and white, and I had me some purple shorts and some flats, and they were saying that my outfit was too bright for the brand, and that I needed to change my purple short. It was too much of a bright grape purple that was not wasn't appropriate for
to fit the standards of what was
exactly.
Okay, so how were these policies applied to your other colleagues? I know you said that there was a different scene with white employees in your workplace and yourself. So how was it applied to them?
It wasn't. Like, they can wear their little pum shorts or really short shorts and nothing would be said. But if I was to wear them pum shorts, I would have to think twice about, okay, is it showing something that they deem is inappropriate, versus if she was to wear it, they wouldn't say anything.
Okay, so how well do you think your employer separates their own opinions from the workplace norms in both job locations?
So Urban Outfitters, it's pretty cool. Like, maybe also it can be an age thing, because my supervisor at Urban Outfitters, she's in her late 20s, early 30s, and she never really has a problem with what I wear. If anything, she gives me compliments about my outfits, or try to figure out how I was able to put those colors together. Versus Banana Republic, they're not having that. That's not acceptable at all.
So, do you believe your employer at Banana Republic separated their own opinions from what the workplace truly needed?
Of course not. Of course not.
In what ways was that shown?
About them criticizing what I was wearing, or always pulling me aside in front of everybody to, say something about what I was wearing, or, try to dim my light about the colors that I chose to wear.
So, from your experience, are some hair colors viewed more differently than others?
Of course. Like, a white girl can walk in there with green hair, but a black girl like myself, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what are you on?
So what factors do you think influence this?
I think the stereotypes of the norm. Like, if black women were to wear certain colors, they are deemed as being promiscuous, fast, or quirky, versus a white girl. She can wear all of that, or she can be emo, and they will say nothing about it. Versus if I wanted to be emo for a day, they would have been like, something's wrong with this black girl.
So how do you think cultural trends affect these perceptions? And when I say cultural trends, I mean like societies, like perceptions of this, um, so, societies, like the way that some employers were like their mindset, like how they some people have older employers who think that we're not standing for the hair color, and then some people have younger employers who like do agree with that. So how do you think cultural trends affect these perceptions?
I feel like they impact them in a very big way, in a larger scale than what we think. Like I said, there's bias when it comes to black girls dressing a certain way than white girls. If white girls wear certain things, they're not going to be deemed as inappropriate. But if a black girl who is curvaceous or doesn't really have curves yet, she wears something like that, they're going to be like, oh, okay, she's fast.
Okay. So back to what you were saying about the bias between the two race groups. So how aware are you of potential bias, including racial or appearance bias, when evaluating teen employees?
So I definitely feel like race plays a big part in the workplace that I'm aware. Like, for example, if a teenage black girl walks into Urban Outfitters, it's a possibly high chance that she'll be followed around. Versus if a white girl walks in, they're not going to say anything. You know what I mean? Or they may ask you more than once if you need help. I already said I didn't need help. Why are you pressing the issue? So I don't like it, but I see it.
Okay. So what steps are taken to reduce this racial bias in your employer's decision from both workplaces?
Well, with Urban Outfitters, I feel like it's a neutral thing. Like, they understand, like, that's the aesthetic of Urban Outfitters. Like, you can come as you are. They're not going to question, okay, this is deemed inappropriate. Versus if I walked in Banana Republic with a Bantu, and some high-waisted shorts, they would have, with the cardigan, they would have, definitely would have told me, okay, you need to put a tank top on because that's inappropriate.
Okay. So, do you believe that implementing bias training would be helpful for supervisors, and why not?
I definitely agree that they need to have a cultural awareness, because I feel like black people in general, we bring the culture in. You know what I mean? So they like to steal what we bring in. Like, if we come in with bamboo hoop earrings, they may be like, oh, okay, that's inappropriate.
So basically, bias training is an example of, training that puts the supervisors through a process for a couple of weeks before they get that hiring manager position, to separate their own opinions from what the workplace truly needs. So do you believe that it will be helpful for supervisors?
It definitely will, especially for the older supervisors that don't understand self-expression. And I also feel like it would educate them on the different times that we're in now. Like, what's trending and what's not trending, and how trends come back, and how, we put our little spin to it to make it more of who we are. Because, fashion is about expressing yourself. And if you can't understand why myself decide to wear a particular outfit versus my white counterpart, then ma'am or sir, you need to have training to understand cultural differences.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then on top of that, I would agree that they need to implement bias training, not specifically even for appearance. I would also say that it needs to be implemented for other things, such as cultural awareness on top of that, for like the hairstyles that African Americans wear, especially teens nowadays. So how does workplace appearance standards impact the motivation of teen employees?
I think it does, because I feel like as black girls, we like to change our hair up all the time. And if we decide, okay, we're coming in with an orange wig, and in 2 weeks when we want to come in with braids. It should not be a discussion of why I keep changing my hair. That's none of your business. Or if someone with locks, if I decide not to get my retwist with a timely manner and there's a whole bunch of new growth, you shouldn't feel no type of way.
Yeah, definitely. And it could also deter the teen employees from wanting to keep
from even applying or keep working, you know what I mean? Or their self-esteem may come down, and when their self-esteem come down, their attitude may be different. They may not be, very outspoken to approach a customer because of what you've been telling them or saying to them, or the faces you've been making.
Yeah. So, in what ways do you think that strict or flexible appearance policies influence how teen employees take on their responsibilities?
I think it affects them a lot. I think it's important for the employers to understand, like, okay, if you keep nagging about their appearance, what makes you think they're gonna perform 100%? Like, they're not gonna perform 100% because you're on their back about their appearance, and that shouldn't be a thing. And when I say it should be a teachable moment, it should be a teachable moment, not to put that teen down. Because I've seen it with my own eyes, as far as teenagers coming for the job. They get the job, for example, Banana Republic, and they're not fitting the criteria or even their dialect. Everybody come from different places, different accent, and they might deem that as, okay, that's not proper English, or that's not how
professional and how you're supposed to.
Exactly.
So back to what you were saying, how you've seen it yourself and from your own eyes and your own experiences. Have you ever noticed a shift in an employee's attitude after being addressed about their appearance expectations? And give me an example.
Of course. Like, I remember this one girl, she was pulled to the side at Banana Republic, and after the conversation was done, she was emotional, she cried, and she kind of vented to me, and she was just like trying to figure out what was she doing wrong. Like, she felt like she was within the brand standard, but to them it was too much. And I feel like as Black girl, we always get, oh, you're doing too much, you're wearing too much, why you always keep changing your hair, why your hair texture this texture, the next time is a different texture.
So how did that make you treat your employer any differently, or made you more self-aware?
It made me more self-aware, but it also made me standoffish. Or like, if I see my supervisor, I go the other way, because now I'm concerned that the next time you call me, it's not about what's going on the floor, it's about my appearance.
Do you believe that there were like a lot of complaints from the customers about the employee appearance, or was it just like what the managers were seeing?
I felt like it was a mixture, depending. If the customer was older, then you get a little side eye, and then you would see like a conversation being had with the manager. And for the younger generation, it was just more so, oh, I like your outfit, where did you get this? And then we start talking about different aspect of fashion. But yeah.
Well, do you know about the Crown Act that was implemented?
No.
So basically the Crown Act is a law that prohibits supervisors and managers from sending or firing workers due to their appearance. And this has been seen many times in the past. Teens were fired because of them coming in with blonde braids, them coming in with brown braids, even that's a natural color at that, but it still made the employer feel some type of way. So what do you think about that act even having to be implemented in the first place?
I don't think that there should be such act to implement how someone is supposed to look. Like, I know that, for example, there's always been an issue with people with locks and how they're perceived, you know what I mean? And I just feel like that should not be anybody's concern of how they wear their hair.
It shouldn't correlate to their behavior.
Exactly. So I just feel like somebody with, like you said, blonde braids should not be treated differently from somebody that has brown braids. It's a natural color. It shouldn't be an issue. Even if somebody want to have purple braids.
Yeah, even if even when the girl actually had brown braids and she still was sent home. So honestly, I personally feel like that was an act of racial bias.
I agree.
Instead of appearance bias, I feel like it was an act of that. So,
I agree.
Thank you for participating in my interview.
No problem, Raven.
You're welcome. Yeah.